After spending the day with the Focus RS, I concluded that it is an awesome car. However, no car is perfect, so here are some of the things I hate about the Focus RS. First up, the turning radius. When maneuvering in parking lots or trying to make U-turns, the Ford Focus RS is absolutely useless. Now I get it's all-wheel drive, it's gonna have a worse turning radius than a normal Focus, but for a car with this wheelbase and size, it is terrible for maneuvering in tight spaces. Second up is the suspension. You can change the suspension setting on this stock here mounted to the steering column, and when you put it into sport mode for the suspension, it is absolutely horrible. It feels like you're riding on a bag of bricks. I actually haven't felt suspension this uncomfortable in a car of this ilk in a very long time. It's much harsher than the GT350 we just reviewed. Doesn't seem like there's any point to have that on a road-going car. This is, of course, not a track monster. That leads me to my next point. If you plan on taking this car to the track, prepare to be disappointed that your track day is going to be cut short. You've got temperature sensors on the rear differential. Now, you don't have a rear diff cooler, only a front diff cooler. In order to make that part live the life of the entire vehicle, unfortunately, that means that it is very sensitive to heat. The rear differential will likely overheat. It will shut down, leaving you with a front-wheel drive car, which isn't really what a Focus RS is all about. I'm hoping that Ford Performance will come out with a rear diff cooler, or maybe there'll be some aftermarket options, because this is something that really should be fixed. It's a really cool system made by G&K. You've got a perpetually rotating drive shaft and a rear differential with twin clutch packs that can split the torque up to 75% to the rear wheels, but it needs better cooling, especially if you want to do some aftermarket modifications. This car was optimized to have 350 horsepower. That means all of the driveline components were made lighter to compensate for the weight and make it a perfect vehicle at 350 horsepower. The problem is, if you want to boost that up, obviously it's a turbocharged engine, and with some tuning you can get more power. The components aren't optimized for that, and you might end up blowing the rear diff. Next up is the interior. It looks basically exactly the same as an $18,000 Ford Focus. Obviously, it's still a Focus, but when you compare it to its competitors like the Golf R or an Audi S3, you look at this and you feel a little bit uninspired. It's got a lot of plastic everywhere. This dash is supposed to look like leather, but it just kind of looks like cheap rubber. The instrument cluster is pretty boring. I really don't like the way the colors look. Everything just feels cheaper than you'd want in a $40,000 car. Lastly is the seats. The bolstering is far too aggressive for a normal road car. You can't get the bucket seats in the United States like you can in Europe, and they are way too high. I've lowered the seat to the lowest position it can go, and it puts my legs in an awkward position. It bends my knees at an angle that makes it harder to press the gas, the brake, and the clutch than it should be, and you feel kind of like you're riding on top of the car instead of in the vehicle. If you could be lower down, it would be a lot better. Now, I don't even have power seats, so I do feel like we're not fighting for packaging space here for motors to go underneath. If they could lower down the seats, you'd feel like you were in more of a racing position, and it'd be an improved car. I love the RS, but no car is perfect. I hope you found this video informative. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.